Howdy, folks. Widget Walls from needcoffee.com here. Back again on the couch for another Stayhomer review. Here's how it works for the uninitiated. I have not left the cinema because I'm not going back to the cinema until the apocalypse is more over than it is. I previously used to go to the cinema, watch a film, and tell you about it on my way home because I had some crazy idea that that would save time. Anyway, now that we are still in the apocalypse, I am watching films, whether the director wants me to or not, from the comfort of my couch. And then I tell you about it while I'm still sitting here. And today we're here to talk about Dune, or Dune Part 1, as the very beginning of the film declares it to be. Okay, synopsis. Oh my God. Okay, I'll try to for those of you who don't know it, you're not going to get a good synopsis from me. From those of you who know it, you're going to understand. Anyway, it's 10,000 years in the future, and interstellar travel is managed by something called the Spice, which can only be found on one planet, which is known as Arrakis, aka Dune. And it is being handed over from the House Harkonnens, the bad guys, to House Atreides, the good guys. And whoever, controls the spice has great power. And so things are not what they seem in what seems to be a certainly more interesting political setup than, say, the Phantom Menace. But then again, most things are. But not everything is as it seems. And into all of this rigmarole, which is more of a rigmarole than that synopsis made it sounded like, is Paul, who is the son of the Duke of House Atreides. And Paul has been having dreams about the upcoming trip to Arrakis. Well, not the trip exactly, but Arrakis itself and people he may or may not encounter there. And so into all this swirling mystery comes a big movie. That's pretty much it. So anyway, that's your synopsis. Dune. There's a lot of history with Dune, which, don't worry, we won't get into here. I'll just set the stage. I read the book back in 1815, I think. And what I remember about the book is basically two things. One, that it had an incredibly great setup and didn't really pay it off to my satisfaction. See, Jen just sighed. That was my dog. She also was not satisfied. And the best part of the book, in my opinion, second thing, was the appendix about the planetology of Arrakis. I'm weird like that. Anyway, David Lynch Dune, I remember seeing it. I thought it was okay. The sci-fi miniseries that they did, I thought it was better in that they were trying to get as much of the book in as they possibly could. What I really recommend to you, and I do this as often as possible, is the documentary Jodorowsky's Dune, which talks about the version of Dune we didn't get and what it would look like if it was in the hands of a complete madman. But now we have Dune, brought to you by, I'm going to screw up his name. I try, but you know how I am about names. So I'm just going to call him Dennis. It may be Denise. It's Denis. I'm just going to say Dennis. I'm sorry for whatever your actual name is. I've tried. There's something about my brain that cannot do names very well. I can barely pronounce my own, and it's Wallace. He has attacked this thing. And this is the guy who did Blade Runner 2049, which is a better Blade Runner sequel than this universe deserves, to be perfectly honest. And which I absolutely loved. So I'm willing to go pretty much anywhere with this guy. So a couple things. First, the cast is sort of just perfect. It's perfect. And it's a cast that you sort of have to have. If you're thinking about, okay, we need a good Baron Harkonnen, who's the head bad guy. let's just get Stellan Skarsgård and tell him to basically act like a slug. Perfect, right? I know he's playing a different character, but we need a bad guy nephew to be different than Sting was in the David Lynch Dune. Let's get Dave Bautista. You can't get much different than that. I mean, so there's there's obvious logic to the choices that have been made in the casting, and pretty much across the board, they're perfect. I mean, like Jason Momoa is like, to get a better Duncan Idaho, you'd have had to have grown one in a vat. Okay, you'd have basically had to invent Jason Momoa, which they've been trying to do for years and keep failing at. It's just the natural one that popped up that everyone seems to like. Um, so the cast is fantastic. The visual impact of the film, the design, the costumes, the everything, is it's something else. I mean, it does it does the it does the job of setting you in the place, which I know sounds stupid because that's what costumes and set and everything is supposed to do. But it does it so well that I almost forgot it was doing it. It felt such a completely well built world that I slipped into it fairly easily and was able to follow what was going on. Even though, like I said, I read the book back in 1711, and so the look of it is amazing. And I just want to say to Dennis, whose name I'm screwing up, and I apologize. Um, I get it, right? I get it. We all want our films. We all want all of our art to be experienced in the optimal way possible. I get it, but I mean, let's face it. Um, that's not always going to happen. And I agree with what Doc Ezra has said, is that these directors who are complaining that it's streaming at home have not been to a not even an opening night crowd. I would say a non-opening night crowd. So you're with the people that aren't completely thrilled to be there, 100%, who didn't rush out to go see it first thing, with all of their cell phones and texting and food and screaming children and whatever else. Went to see American Beauty one time, and there were two screaming kids in American Beauty. And I offered to let the family store the kids in the trunk of my car until the movie was over. They didn't go for that. Anyway, so I get it. Would I have liked to have seen it in IMAX? Yes. You know, will I go see it in IMAX? Absolutely. Release this after the world is finished ending, and I will absolutely go see it again. But if you're have more faith in your art for it to translate into other arenas, I mean, you have to do that. You don't want to be like Christopher Nolan and sound mix Tenet so that it can't be heard by humans. So this is all very important. Um, but it looked fine. I really enjoyed it sitting here on my couch. At no point did I think, man, this movie sure would be a lot better if I were not on my couch. That thought never crossed my mind. If your, if your film has to be seen on the big screen for it to work, then, something's wrong. um, I mean, I didn't see Mad Max Fury Road in IMAX 3D until the third time that I saw it, and it was still incredible. So you're not missing anything. Relax. Um, Now, this is not a couple things. I found Blade Runner 2049, for example, to be very emotionally engaging. To the point where I own it, but I haven't rewatched it, even though I'm going to, because I just look at it and I go, because I don't know if I'm ready. I'm almost ready. But this is not as emotionally engaging simply because it is a big science fiction space opera thing, right? And so, I mean, there's been plenty of time for other reviews to come out, which I can't help but at least see the headlines for. And, a lot of people find it boring. And I mean, I don't know what to say to that. If if you were expecting like Star Wars level excitement, yay, then it's not going to be there for you. But um, when you consider that it is the build up to a much larger series of things, um, then it makes a lot more sense. And at no point, I'll put it this way, at no point did I feel like I was getting shortchanged because I was getting just the first bit of something, if that makes sense. It felt like, and at no point did it feel like, here's another thing, at no point did it feel like it had basically just been, uh, that it was just it was not a complete film. It felt like a complete film. Now, in the context of knowing the story, as as much as I do can remember it, um, they cut it in an interesting place, but not a bad place, not necessarily. And it, at no point did I feel disengaged. I was actually quite engaged. In fact, it felt like one of those things where, um, I thought, oh, okay, well, I'll start this and maybe I'll pause it and I'll go get another cup of coffee and then I'll keep going. But I never went and got that other cup of coffee. I mean, I watched it straight through because I was just in it. Um, so I mean, I'm not sure what else to say. I thought it again. I'm not as close to the book, so I don't know. There are some things that I don't remember if they were in the book or not. But everything felt completely natural, and most importantly, like I said, you have a fantastic cast to carry you through this. If you had a lesser cast, if he had cast, you know, lesser actors, or if he had not been so obviously meticulous in his casting, um, the result might have been quite different. Because you have to get invested. Because if you weren't, then um, I don't think it works. I think the whole thing falls apart. So not sure what else to say beyond that. Other than would I watch the sequel? Absolutely. I mean, it's just in the script stage, and God knows when it's going to come out. This is normally the sort of thing. I would think that if Blade Runner 2049 had made buckets of money, they would have just gone ahead and told him, yeah, shoot part one and two back to back. But they were a bit cautious. And so who knows when we're going to get part two. But I do hope we get it because I would love to see his take on it. And I would love to see if he can deal with, like I said, my problem with the book, which is that you have this build up and build up, build it, and it feels like it just ends. Or just ends real, it ends faster than it should. It just comes to a head very quickly, and it was being built up like it was going to be a much bigger thing. Anyway, that's me, and that's me remembering from God knows how many decades ago. Anyway, so yes, I'm very happy that I watched it, and that was 2.5 hours well spent. And I will watch it again, whether it's on this screen over here or whether it's on a bigger screen. Dennis, whose name that I'm screwing up, and I cannot. I even tried to look it up in my usual allotted tinkle time between shooting, between watching and shooting this. The credits roll, I tinkle, and while I'm doing that, generally I'll look up something if I feel like I need to, and then I'll come and shoot these, and I still couldn't master the pronunciation of his name. It's just ridiculous. So anyway, should you watch it? Absolutely. If you are in a safe environment where you feel comfortable, uh, sitting in a dark room with 2.5 hours for strangers who are all breathing in and out and in, then absolutely, yes, do go see it. But please make sure you are safe before doing so. Um, if you have a decent setup at home, see it. You're going to be fine. Um, you know, cup wise, but you should see it. I think you should see it. Um, if you don't get engaged, you're gonna look at pretty stuff for 2.5 hours. You'll be fine. With a great cast. Cup wise, I I think it's a fairly solid 4.5 out of 5 cups, and it's not five because like I said, it was not as emotionally engaging. I don't give out a lot of 5 cup star ratings because otherwise that cheapens it. For me, a 5 cup has to be not only a completely perfect film, but it has to be sort of it needs to be emotionally moving in some way. It has to affect me. It can't just be, you know, it can't just be perfect and like laminated, and it has to be engaging on a particular level. It's hard to explain. So yeah, 4.5 out of 5 cups, and I was very, very pleased with it. I think it, uh, based on the trailers, I think it completely held up to the level of expectation that the trailers set it up for, which is also a nice feat in this day and age. So there you go. That's another Stayhomer in the can for Dune, aka Dune Part One. Dune Part One, the beginning. So thanks so much for watching. If you enjoy these things, come out to needcoffee.com. Um, we are still doing 32 Days of Halloween, part 14, for God's sake. So come check that out if that is your bag. And I think it probably is. And as always, if you want to support the site, and this is, I don't know if this counts as a paid promotion. They didn't pay me to say this. We do get kickbacks for it, which I make no bones about, revealing that. Full disclosure. So yes, if you go to needcoffee.com/Amazon, then you will go to the front page of Amazon because it's designed to do that. And anything that you buy, if you do that, or any link on Amazon on the site, if you buy anything during that session, and the holidays are coming up, and my understanding is we should all be, getting our gift shopping done early because, again, apocalypse. But anyway, anything that you buy during that session that you're on Amazon, we get kickbacks for, and that helps for pay for stuff like the server, which kind of is a prerequisite. So anyway, thank you so much for watching, and we will see you next time on the Way Home review. Bye. If I thought I could actually pull off one of those Lisa Gerrard vocal acrobatic yells like she does in the soundtrack or the trailer, I think it's Lisa Gerrard. If I thought I could come close to doing one of those, I would do one of those right now. You'll notice it's not happening.